Greater Good Radio. Connect, learn, heal, and grow.
When you guys did Pure Heart in high school, and then you all went your separate ways,
Right.
and then it was a long period of time before some of you even talked to each other after
Sure.
a long period. Can you, or would you be willing to share about that reconnection and how that came about and what it's meant to you and things like that?
Yeah, we were all very young at the time, and as you can imagine, there was forces from all sides pulling us in all different directions.
Like what?
Oh, well, toward the end there, Jake was trying to do a ukulele school, and he was doing some solo stuff, and then I was working on some side projects. Lopaka's always Lopaka. So I probably won't talk about him, but he's pretty consistent. The guy just wants to play music and have a good time. He's never been difficult, you know? But there's just so much going on, and looking back on it, I mean, everybody had their own ideas as to what direction we were going to go in and stuff like that. So we go our separate ways, and it's a long time. We don't talk.
Was it a hard breakup?
Yeah, it was very difficult and a lot of hurt feelings and stuff like that. And I guess they say time heals wounds or stuff like that. And I just never felt like we had completed what we were planning to do together. You got to understand. I mean, Jake and I were friends from way before that, and we were very good friends. Like, he would sleep over at my house all the time. We would stay up all night talking story about what our goals were and what we had planned for us and the band and stuff like that. So when that all fell apart, it was tough. And he was there doing some hard times for me too, because I was still in high school when he was in college. And you have your high school dramas and things like that. So anyway, after a while, it just became one of those things that you didn't talk to somebody for like a year, and then it goes 2 years, and the next thing you know, it's just been 7 years. You haven't talked to somebody. Life is weird like that, because when you're young, you feel like, when you friends graduate from high school, you go like, oh man, we got to still keep in touch, and we're going to see each other all the time. And they move away to the mainland, and then you see them during the summertime because they come back for Christmas. And then after a while, like, they get married or they have a girlfriend, and now they're not coming back as much. And then next thing you know, like, my friends from high school, I see them once a year, twice a year, maybe, But it's still, when you see them, you're still friends. But it goes the opposite way too, right? You have a falling out with somebody, you don't talk to them. Next thing you know, you're moving on with life, and so are they, right? And then it's 3 years, 4 years, 5 years go by, and you don't talk to them, you don't think about them, kind of thing. I mean, it's kind of hard with the PR because I'm always kind of in that same business. But yeah, it just kind of happened to be like that after a while. But it was really the high sessions thing that made me think about, like, wow, I didn't realize we kind of meant stuff to people. You just think like, oh, people enjoyed the music, and now we're done, and that's it. Life goes on. We do other things. But when I saw these other young artists that I thought were very talented coming through, and they were like, hey, man, you're the reason why I'm even here. I thought, wow, maybe I'm harboring too much anger or something like that. So then, one day I was just in the neighborhood. I stopped by Jake's house. I knocked on the door. And then I'm like, hey, haven't talked to you in a while. You want to sit down? He's like, oh, he just happened to be home. And so we just sat down and talked. And then that was the beginning of this next chapter.
So you just knock on the door.
Mm-hmm.
He answers it, and it's kind of like, what?
Yeah, he's like, oh, what are you doing here? I'm like, well, I was just in the neighborhood, and we haven't talked to each other in a while. So what are you doing right now? And that's me. Like, I'm kind of like, I'll do things on a whim,
And then what happened when you were talking then?
So we started catching up, and obviously both of us knew what each other was doing. That was nice. And some months went by, and then he had this like Jake and Friends concert coming up the next year. So he said, yeah, do you guys want to do that? I said, oh, okay, so talked to everybody, and we ended up doing it. And it's good. So now we just play kind of when things come up, and he's got his thing, and I got my thing, and Lopaka's got his thing, and everybody's doing their own thing, but every once in a while we can get together and enjoy the music, and yeah, it's been a lot of fun. So it's good.
So do you wish that you had done that earlier?
No, I don't think so, because I think when you have these type of very heavy emotional breakup, it's like a marriage, right? You gotta wait until everybody's ready, or else I think because honestly, at this point, everything that happened in the past is completely squashed. Like, I don't even think about it at all. And I'm pretty sure that the other guys don't either. We're like it's just a lot of fun, you know. But I think if any of us were harboring some of those issues, then you'd have those kind of situations where someone says something, you know, kind of a side comment, and then it festers into something else, right? And
Okay, so and you can stop me at any point in time.
yeah,
But
yeah,
the thing that I'm curious on then is, with such a kind of feelings are hurt, and feelings can be hurt to the extent that there was feelings, right? So you guys were super tight,
yeah.
and then you have a pretty strong rupture. Like, what were the important pieces in there to come up with the reconciliation that there could be real forgiveness to happen?
I don't ever think we ever said sorry to each other or anything. I just think enough time had gone by. It was just understood that whatever happened before, that's just done, and then we're moving forward from here. I don't know how Jake is, and I don't know how Lopaka is, but I'm very much like that. Like, I can get very upset, but if there's an agreement, like, okay, we're cool now, then we're cool. And that's it. That's just a line that I draw in it.
Okay.
Everything else is forgot. So it kind of depends on the person too.
That's actually a kind of an interesting characteristic, because a lot of times people will just try to sweep it under the rug
Yeah.
because they don't want the conflict.
Right.
And
right.
then, but it's still live,
Right.
you know what I mean? Which makes it uncomfortable. You know, that could be in any type of relationship.
Yeah.
So I was curious on that.
Yeah. So just my personality is like, say I'm going to buy a car. I'll do all my research, you know, and I'll kind of like think about it. Is it dwell on my mind? But like once I decided like, oh, okay, this is what I want, I'll just walk into the car dealership and be like, this is what I want. And I just buy it. Like you don't have to sell me on anything. So like I think similarly with relationships, in my head I'll do a lot of like analyzing and thinking about it. But once I've decided like, hey, we're cool, and I think that's what helped with Jake and all that kind of stuff was because I think because enough time had passed and we were both, I mean, obviously he's on this very good trajectory in his life. But at this point, even I'm settled in a new career. I have other musical things that I'm doing that are very fulfilling and stuff. So it wasn't like when we get back together, it's not like I have to tie myself to him or something, or we have to do things together. You know, we can say we're cool, and we can go, we have our own paths that we're going, and we can jump in at any time and be together. But I think if there was this like dependency where like I was forgiving him because I wanted to get into his coattail or something like that, or wanted to be, then that's not the same.
That's
right?
disingenuous, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like an agenda.
Yeah. So I felt at that point, you know, 14 years later that, yeah, enough time had passed and we're on our own things, that neither of us would be doing this because we needed something from the other one.
If you resonate with Greater Good Radio, please join our community at www.greatergoodradio.com, where you can get access to exclusive content and offerings. Hope to see you soon.